You were never the type to stand out. While other girls wore short skirts and glossy lipsticks, you preferred oversized sweaters and ponytails. You always sat in the front row, books neatly stacked, pen always ready, mind always busy. You weren't invisible. You were just the kind of girl people don't bother to notice unless they wanted to laugh. It had become a normal. The small giggles when you walked past, the whispers comments behind your back. Look at her, she probably never even talked to a guy. Why is she always alone? You tried to ignore them, you always did, because you knew something they didn't, something no one in the entire college could ever imagine. You were married to John Jungkook. The same Jungkook everyone in college feared, admired, and whispered about. The guy who skipped lectures, rode his bike too fast, and always had a crowd of people around him. The guy every girl wanted, but what they didn't know was that after the lights went out, after the halls were empty, he came home to you. It was hard living this double life. In college, you acted like strangers. He wanted to protect you, keep your name away from gossip, but every time he walked past you in the hallway, you could feel his eyes on you, soft, warm, filled with something no one else could ever see. And that was enough for you. That afternoon, you were in the cafeteria, sitting alone at your usual table, eating quietly. You had an exam next week, and your notes were spread on the table. A group of girls walked past, giggling. You recognized their voices immediately. Look, she's studying again. One of them whispered loudly, like someone actually cares about her grades. Maybe she thinks she'll attract a guy by acting smart. Guy? Please, she would need magic for that. You lowered your eyes pretending not to hear, but they didn't stop. One of them walked close and accidentally knocked your juice cup over your notes. Oops, she said fake sweetly. My bad. You froze. The paper was soaked, the ink bleeding through. You could feel your eyes sting, your throat tight. They laughed. Relax, it's just paper, Jessica said, smirking. It's not like you have a boyfriend to cry to. The cafeteria went quiet. You didn't realize why until you saw the shadow fall over the table. Your heart stopped. He had just walked in, and the look on his face said everything. He didn't shout, he didn't even move fast. He just walked closer, his jaw clenched, his eyes fixed on the girl who had spilled your drink. Say that again, he said in his low and dangerous voice. She froze. Jungkook, we were just. He grabbed her wrist, not roughly, just enough to make her stop shaking. Apologize. He said no one in college had ever seen him like that. Calm, serious, but so cold that even the silence felt heavy. Jungkook, I said apologize. She startled and looked at you. I'm sorry. He looked at your ruined notes, then at you. You were staring at the table, trying to hold back tears. He sighed, then took off his hoodie and placed it gently over the wet paper, like it could somehow make it better. Next time someone touches you, he said quietly, hit them, and if you can't, then you tell me. You looked up, eyes wide. He didn't care that everyone was watching. His hand brushed your cheek lightly before he turned to leave. But before he did, he looked at the girls one more time. If I ever hear you say something about her again, I won't be this calm. And then he walked out, just like that. The cafeteria stayed silent for a long moment. No one dared to laugh again. You sat there, heart pounding, his hoodie still over your nose, the faint smell of him clinging to the fabric. You smiled a little, whispering to yourself, he's gonna scold me for not telling him about this later. And he did. That night when you came home, he looked at you with those soft but angry eyes. You let them mess with you again. You sighed. I didn't want trouble. You are my wife. He said, pulling you closer. You don't let anyone talk to you like that. Ever. You smiled, resting your head on his chest. You already scared them enough. He smirked, kissing the top of your head. Good, maybe they'll finally learn who not to mess with. You laughed quietly, feeling safe in his arms. He didn't say it out loud, but you could tell he would do anything to protect you. And deep down, he already knew why you looked so tired lately, why you got dizzy so often, why your hands trembled when you tried to stand for too long. He just hadn't said it yet because Jungkook already knew you weren't just his wife, you were pregnant with his child. The next morning started the same way as every other. You woke up early, quietly slipping out of bed so you wouldn't disturb him. Jungkook always slept like a rock after late night rides with his friends, hair messy, arms half hanging off the bed. You smiled softly, watching him for a second. No one would ever believe that the same boy who made half the college scared of him slept with a plush pillow under his arm. You made breakfast, simple and warm, toast and eggs, but the smell made your stomach twist again. You frowned, covering your mouth. The nausea came fast. It wasn't the first time. You knew why. You had found out a week ago. The test was hidden in the bottom drawer of your dresser, two pink lines staring back at you. You didn't know how to tell him. Jungkook had always been protective, but lately he was already on edge because of the way people treated you at college. You didn't want to make him worry even more, but he wasn't stupid. He noticed everything. That afternoon, you sat under the big oak tree near the library, pretending to read, but your eyes kept drifting to your hands resting on your stomach. You still couldn't believe it. 2 months already. Skipping class again, you jumped a little. Jungkook was there, leaning against the tree with his usual lazy smirk. He sat down beside you, pulling your hood up over your head like he always did when you looked tired. You okay? You nodded too fast. Yeah, just sleepy. He hummed, sleepy, dizzy, not eating much. You looked at him quickly, but he wasn't teasing. His eyes were soft, knowing. You think I don't notice? He asked quietly. You bit your lip. You have been acting strange lately. You hold your stomach when you think I'm not looking. Your eyes widened a little. You noticed that? Of course I did. He said, smiling faintly. You think I don't pay attention to my wife? You didn't answer. Your throat felt tight. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind your ear. You were gonna tell me, weren't you? You nodded slowly. I just didn't know how. He sighed softly and leaned his forehead against yours. You could have just said it, baby. Later that evening, you both were in your small kitchen. He was quiet but calmer than you expected. You stood near the counter fidgeting with your fingers. So, you already knew? He smiled a little. I guessed. I wanted to hear it from you. He took a shaky breath. I'm pregnant. He didn't react right away, just exhaled slowly like he had been holding that breath for days. Then he smiled, really smiled, the kind that softened everything about him. I knew it. He whispered, then he walked closer, wrapping his arms around you gently, careful like you were made of glass. You are carrying our baby. He said softly, resting his hand on your stomach. You have been keeping such a big secret, huh? You sniffled. I was scared you would be mad or something. He frowned. Mad? About this? Now you are making it sound like I'm a cruel husband. You shook your head. Ryan, there's nothing in this world I would ever be mad about it if it's connected to you. You looked up at him, eyes wide. You are not scared? He smiled softly. I am, but not about being a dad. I'm scared you'll get hurt or tired because you always try to do everything alone. You smiled weakly. You are already overprotective. You'll go crazy now. He chuckled, pressing a kiss on your forehead. You have no idea. He crouched down a little and placed his palm against your stomach, voice barely above a whisper. Hey there, little one. I already knew about you. I just waited for your mom to tell me. You couldn't stop your tears. They weren't from fear anymore. They were warm, full of love. Jungkook stood up again, wrapping you in his arms from behind. His chin rested on your shoulder, his hand still over your belly. From now on, you don't carry anything heavy. You don't walk home alone, you don't skip meals, I'll handle everything. You laughed softly, so basically I can't do anything. Exactly. He said, kissing your temple. You just exist. I'll take care of the rest. And you knew he meant it. Because that night, he stayed up longer than you did. Had never leaving your stomach, eyes filled with a mix of fear, love, and something new, something that said he wasn't just protecting you anymore. He was protecting both of you. The next morning started too quiet. You walked through the college gate like always, head down, your bag clutched close, but something felt strange. People stared, not the usual curious glances. This time it was different, longer, heavier. You tried to ignore it, maybe you were just imagining it, until you reached the hallway. That's when you heard it. Did you hear? Jungkook got her pregnant. You mean that nerd? No way. Someone recorded them yesterday near the library. She literally said she's pregnant. You froze mid step, your fingers went cold. You looked around. Everyone was whispering, phones out, smirks on faces. Your heart dropped. No one knew about your marriage. To them, you were just a quiet girl, the one who always sat alone, and now overnight you were the center of every cruel rumor. You could barely breathe. You wanted to run, but your feet wouldn't move. Guess that's how she got his attention. Maybe she did it on purpose. He probably just used her. Their voices echoed in your head. Each word felt like a knife. By lunchtime, the whole college seemed to know. You couldn't look anyone in the eye. When you entered the cafeteria, the laughter stopped, replaced by whispers and stares. You sat at your usual corner table, your appetite gone, your chest tight. Then you heard a chair drag nearby. Hey. You looked up. Jessica, who used to mock you before, the one who had spilled your drink, was standing there, arms crossed. So, she said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. It's true, right? You really slept with him. Your hands went cold. What? She smirked. Don't act innocent. Everyone heard the recording. You said you were pregnant. Guess being a nerd didn't get you attention, so you found another way. A few people snickered. Your eyes stung. She leaned closer. You think that makes you special? You think Jungkook will actually stay with you? You tried to get up, but your legs felt weak. Please stop. She didn't. She kept going, louder this time. What did you even do? Trapped him with a baby so he wouldn't leave you? You blinked fast, trying not to cry, but before you could move, before you could say anything, the entire room went silent because behind her a familiar voice spoke, low, cold, and dangerous. Say that again. Everyone turned. Jungkook stood there, jaw tight, eyes dark, fists clenched. His voice wasn't loud, but it shook the air around him. The girl froze. Jungkook, I was just. He stepped closer slowly, his eyes never leaving hers. Just what? I didn't mean to what? He cut her off. Didn't mean to insult the woman I love. Didn't mean to spread lies about her. You gasped quietly. He never said that in public before. The cafeteria was dead silent. No one dared to speak. He looked around, voice steady but sharp. All of you think it's fun to talk about someone else's life. You think you know anything about her? No one moved. She's better than all of you combined. And for the record, she didn't trap anyone. She didn't do anything wrong. If anyone did, it's me because I couldn't protect her from people like you. He took another step closer to Jessica, who started it. You ever say her name again, and I swear you'll regret it. She nodded quickly, eyes wide, trembling. He turned to you then, his voice softening instantly. Come on, let's go. You shook your head. Jungkook, everyone, I don't care. He said, taking your hand. They can talk all they want. I'm not hearing any nonsense about my wife from now. He led you out of the cafeteria, ignoring the stares, ignoring the whispers. His grip was firm but gentle, like he was afraid you would vanish if he let go. Outside in the quiet hallway, you finally spoke, voice shaking. They're saying horrible things. He stopped walking and turned to you. His eyes were softer now, full of guilt. I'm sorry, he whispered. I should have known something like this would happen. You shook your head. It's not your fault. It is. He said, brushing his thumb across your cheek. I promised I would protect you, and now they're calling you names because of me. You swallowed, tears spilling down your eyes. I don't care what they say, I just don't want you to get in trouble. He smiled faintly, pulling you into his chest. You think I care about trouble? Let them talk, let them post. I'll handle it. You rested your head against him, hearing his heartbeat, fast, heavy, angry, but steady. Now they know whose wife you are. They'll invite trouble if they even look at you. You hugged him even tighter, closing your eyes. I love you. That night he was quieter than usual. He stayed close to you, his hand resting on your stomach every now and then, as if reminding himself that both of you were real. You caught him staring once, his eyes filled with so many emotions you couldn't even name them. Why are you looking at me like that? You whispered. He smiled a little, just thinking how lucky I am, even when the world is against us. You laughed softly, leaning against him. You're still mad though. He sighed, eyes darkening. Yeah, I'm mad because I hate that they made you cry. I hate that I can't punch every single one of them. You smiled faintly, tracing circles on his hand. You already silenced them, Jungkook. You don't need to do anything else. He kissed the side of your head. Maybe not, but if anyone tries again, they'll regret it. And you promise me that you'll shut their mouth too. You're going to be a mother of my child. You need to be fierce. You sighed, your breath shaky. Jungkook's words still echoed in your head. You need to be fierce, but you weren't like him. You didn't know how to be. I don't know how to do that. I've never been like you, Jungkook. You are brave. I just I just get scared. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he quietly took off his leather jacket and wrapped it around your shoulder. It smelled like him, warm, a little like mint and smoke. You don't need to be like me, he said after a long pause. You just need to stop apologizing for who you are. You looked up at him confused. He smiled a little, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. You think I fell for you because you were not loud or strong. I fell for you because you care too much, because you still smile even when people are cruel. You think that's weakness, but to me, he touched your cheek gently. That's strength. Your chest tightened. You always say the right thing. He chuckled quietly, only when it's about you. The two of you stood there in each other's arms in silence for a moment. The world felt a little softer. Then suddenly Jungkook knelt down. You blinked startled. What are you doing? He placed a hand carefully on your stomach, talking to our baby. He said, grinning up at you like a little kid, telling them their mom is braver than she thinks. You laughed softly, feeling tears sting your eyes. You are ridiculous. Yep, he said, looking up at you again. You reached down and ran your finger through his hair, and for a moment all the noise, the whispers, the judgment, the fear faded away. There was only him, you, and the quiet promise of something small and beautiful growing inside you both. He stood up again and pressed a kiss to your forehead. Let them talk. We'll give them something real to talk about when the time comes. You didn't know what he meant, but somehow you trusted him. Because no matter what the world said, Jungkook always made you feel safe in it.